continuation to last lecture, today we are going to discuss issues related to organic farming, defining organic farming, what are the different principles of organic farming, and difference between conventional farming and organic farming. How these two kind of farming are different from each other, and current status, how much is the area production in India and abroad, and why we need organic farming. So these are the topics which we are going to cover today, and we very attentive. And this lecture is prepared especially for the students, and means so that you can answer questions related to organic farming. And this is very hot topic these days. Many people are talking about organic farming. People have interest in organic farming. General person to your marketing executive, etc. And on the bottom of this slide, you can see chef, CHEF. Somebody's microphone is on. I think you can mute it, please. So you can see on the bottom, I write CHEF, chef. You can remember these four letters, chef, C for care, principle of care, principle of health, principle of ecology, and principle of fairness. These are the four principles of organic farming. Subsequently, we will discuss it. Now, first of all, many times you hear the word organic farming or organic agriculture. So some people refer organic farming, some people refer organic agriculture. In my view, they are the same. There is no difference in organic farming or organic agriculture. So if you see dictionary meaning of agriculture, the science, art, or practice of cultivating the soil, producing crops, and raising livestock, and in varying degrees, the preparation and marketing of the resulting products. So it includes all aspects of farming, agriculture. Cambridge Dictionary defines it. Farming means agriculture is equivalent to farming. The practice or work of farming is agriculture. The practice or work of farming is agriculture. The business, science, or activity of farming is agriculture. So they are interrelated. The practice of agriculture or aquaculture is farming. Means when you practice agriculture, when you do some action, it becomes your farming. So another meaning of farming is the activity of working on a farm or organizing the work there. So it is actually in action. In action, agriculture in action is your farming. The business or activity of raising animal, growing crops on a farm is farming. So they are synonymous, agriculture, farming, and even husbandry. Animal husbandry, crop husbandry, they are all agriculture. And what is farm? I already gave you definition of farm, a tract of land or piece of land developed to agricultural purposes, which is now. Next word is organic. Organic word is used in different sense. So organic here means belonging to or inherent in a living being, and which is constitutional and natural. This is organic, meaning of organic. And other times, many times it is used as a prefix. Prefix organic fertilizer, organic method, organic farming, or organic food. So for example, organic of a fertilizer or manure means produced from natural substances, usually without the addition of chemical. There are no addition of chemicals, and it may be a method also, method of farming or gardening where using no chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or other artificial chemicals. And organic food, food produced from the organic farming. And another meaning of organic word is it can be used about organic fruit, organic vegetable, organic meat that is produced without using chemicals. So finally, you can see agriculture, farming, and husbandry. They are interrelated. Generally speaking, European people, people from developed countries, they mostly refer the word agriculture, organic agriculture, and people in Asia or developing country, mostly they refer organic farming. Otherwise, there is no strict difference. It is very general. It does not mean that people from developed country cannot call organic farming. They call organic farming, but it is a general difference. Organic agriculture is a production system that sustains the health of soils, ecosystems, and people. So this is the complete definition of organic agriculture. I have divided that definition into three different statements or three parts. And it sustains the health of soils, ecosystem, and people. It relies on ecological processes, biodiversity, and cycles adapted to local conditions, rather than the use of inputs with adverse effect. So this is broader definition of organic agriculture given by IFOAM. So if you try to understand this definition, then yeah,
Yeah.
then organic agriculture sustains the health of soil. So this is included in the definition. Or then how it can sustain the health, we will see it. It sustains the ecosystem, means it does not disturb the ecosystem. It does not means make the ecosystems bad, and people also. It sustains the health of people, health of everyone. That is organic agriculture, and it relies on ecological processes, means natural processes. As far as possible, it should reflect in ecological processes. It should rely on biodiversity. All kind of organism living below the soil and above the soil should be utilized in organic farming, and cycles adapted to local conditions rather than use of inputs with adverse effect. Means here you rely more on natural process, more on organisms rather than chemicals or other kind of inputs. Another definition from India side, it is from APIDA. Organic products are grown under a system of agriculture without the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, with an environmentally and socially responsible approach. It preserves the reproductive and regenerative capacity of the soil, good plant nutrition, and sound soil management, produces nutritious food rich in vitality, which has resistance to diseases. So this is complete definition given by APIDA. Now there are several variations of organic farming. People call them with different names. So for example, modern organic farming, the father is considered as Sir Albert Howard. Then biodynamic agriculture, Rudolf Steiner. Permaculture, it was given by Australian biologist Bill Mollison and his student David Holmgren in the 1970s. The natural farming, another term, mostly confined to Fukuoka farming kind of farming, is your natural farming. And now you will find another name for organic farming is agroecological farming or agroecological agriculture. One more organic farming is sustainable yogic agriculture. Brahma Kumaris, by Brahma Kumaris, what they do means your organic farming principles plus yoga. So it makes your yogic agriculture or yogic farming. Homeopathic farming, Homa farming, this and that. So there are different names and different set principles to adopt organic farming. So some people have made some alterations, some changes, and they have declared that this is organic farming. Maybe good or bad, we don't know, but there are several forms of organic farming. Vedic Kheti is also organic farming. Rishi Kirsi by Deshpande agriculture technique. Cow-based farming, organic farming. Go Mata Kheti, named by some people. Vaishnav Kheti, Ahimsa Kheti, Shiv Loki Kheti. Zero budget natural farming, low budget natural farming, low cost organic farming. So these are different, and you can go on adding these people. Like in our country, we have several religions, and every religion you will find many gods, and every means there may be so many variants of religions, and you will find that so many people like to have their own religion. Suppose me, I want to have my own religion. Similarly, several people like to have their own way of organic farming, considering certain principles and so on. So overall, what we are going to discuss in this, mostly we will take modern organic agriculture, not the traditional organic agriculture. We want to use science in this. So therefore, most of the organic farming now is based upon scientific principles, which is called as modern organic farming or modern organic agriculture. So principles of organic farming, you can see there are 4 principles. prescribed by International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement 2012. First principle is principle of health and should sustain, organic farming should sustain and enhance the health of soil, health of plant, health of animal and human. This is the first objective, first purpose of organic farming, that everybody should be healthy. Your whether it is soil, plant, animal or human being, even your environment should be healthy. Then principle of ecology is should be based on living ecological systems and cycle. Work with them, emulate them, and help sustain them. See, where we do farming in these days, we do farming in agro ecosystem. We call them agro system or agro ecosystem. These agro ecosystems are partly artificial ecosystems, and then there are certain natural ecosystems like in forest area. In forest, if somebody, if human being has not disturbed a particular forest area and there is least interference of human being, so there in those forest area you will find many natural cycles and everything is in balance. Everything is in balance there. So we can take certain cycles, we can learn certain cycles, natural cycles or processes, and try to emulate them, try to copy them, try to mimicry them into our agro ecosystem. For example, insect pest and disease management. You can see forest area. Forest area are having very large vegetation, but they are never wiped out by insects. They are happy because one particular organism can control the population of the other. So certain ecological principles are being followed there. So can we emulate them? Can we copy them in our artificial agro ecosystem? So that is your principle of ecology. See one case of aeroplane, how man has made aeroplane. It is just by mimicking the birds. Birds have wings and they can fly. So therefore, human being came thought to their mind that let us make something like bird. So similarly, we can learn certain processes from nature and put them into our artificial ecosystems. So third one is principle of fairness. We need to be should build on relationship that ensure fairness with regard to the common environment and life opportunities, fair and just environment for people to live. See this one, the last sentence, fair and just environment for people to live. So we need to be fair to everyone, whether it is microorganism which is living in the soil. We should worry about microorganism, whether this microorganism is getting food or not, is it getting water or not, and is it helping the environment or not. We need to be careful about the whole kind of living organism living in the organic system, starting from minute bacteria up to the elephant, up to the tallest tree, and so on. So we should take care of all these things. We should make their fair use. And for example, one case I can cite here, suppose some laborer is working on your farm. So you need to have very fair dealing with your laborer. You should take care of his food. Is he getting sufficient sleep? What about his residence? Roti, kapra, or makan. The labor should get all the three. He should get bread, he should get house, he should get clothes, and everything of his requirement should be fulfilled. So all the organism or individual which are involved in the process should get fair dealing. Now, principle of care means, see the last statement, current and future generation and environment. We should not over exploit any resource. Resources should be exploited or used only to the extent that you are not disturbing them, so that something is left for the future generations. So should be managed in a precautionary and responsible manner to protect the health and well-being of current and future generation and the environment. Means you need to protect your environment for the future generations. Like these days we are seeing what is happening to the environment. So we must take the principle of care. So organic farming relies on all these four principles. That is the main purpose of organic farming, and that will be the outcome also. If we see outcome or advantage of organic farming, we can say organic farming will result in healthy human beings, healthy soil, healthy plants, will use ecological processes so that chemical load or pesticide use can be reduced. principle of fairness. In this case, we can say that biodiversity will improve because of organic farming, and principle of care means sufficient food and sufficient soil will be left, or water will be left for the future generation, and environment will be protected. So this is how principles of organic farming. Now you see what is the difference between organic farming and your chemical farming and integrated crop management. So here I want to tell you that one is modern farming. Modern farming is your chemical farming where we use modern varieties, high-yielding varieties, pesticide, fertilizer. Other extreme is your organic agriculture where these chemicals are not used. And in between these two lies the integrated crop management. In integrated crop management, we rely on integrated practices of weed management, disease management, pest management, and we also adopt crop rotations. So this is how organic farming is different from integrated crop management and modern chemical farming. So now see the difference in conventional and organic farming. What are the differences in conventional means your chemical farming and organic farming. So based upon these 8 or 9 points, you can make a difference between these two farmings. So let us see how you can make the difference. For example, in the first column, you see particular or point, conventional farming and organic farming. Farm inputs, mostly chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides. You know it. On-farm resources or inputs such as farmyard manure, compost, vermicompost. So there are differences in the farm inputs. Cropping system, one crop followed, means in conventional farming it is mostly monoculture kind of system, or only few crops are grown. Hardly farmer can take two to three different kinds of crop. But in organic farming, diversified crop rotations and intercropping systems are preferred. Supply of nutrients in chemical farming, you know, it is mostly fertilizer. There are organic manures. And insect pest and disease management, pesticides are used. In other case, pesticides are not used. Rather, some other methods are used like your crop rotation, cover crops, natural pest management, hand weeding, animal grazing. Means certain non-chemical methods are used to manage insect pest disease. Productivity is generally higher than organic farming in conventional system. In organic farming, initially it is low, but can be equal to conventional farming after 6 to 7 years. So don't worry, we will discuss about productivity issues in another lecture. Now, soil health, no doubt, soil health deteriorate in conventional farming. In organic farming, soil health improves. We will see how soil health improves in organic farming. Aerial and soil biodiversity, it is improved. There is a mistake in this point. It is reduced in conventional farming and it is improved in organic farming. Kindly correct it. Food safety and quality, poor content of nutrients and mostly unsafe food, because many times pesticides are there in our food, conventional food. Organic food is nutritious and safer food. Environment pollutes the environment and it makes the environment healthy. Less emission of greenhouse gases. Energy input comparatively more in conventional farming and in that it is less. Income comparatively less, comparatively more. Genetically modified organisms are allowed in conventional farming under certain cases, and organic farming they are never allowed. So there is mistake. You can write under organic farming never allowed. GMO never allowed in case of organic farming. So these are few differences. If somebody asks you how you can make, somebody ask you to write answer, ask a question, then you can answer based upon these 12 or 13 points. That these are the differences in conventional and organic farming. Now see the status of organic farming. In the world, there are 187 countries which are adopting organic farming. Out of organic agricultural land is in 2019, the whole data pertains to 2019, and organic agricultural land in the world is 72.3 million hectares. And see, Australia has the largest area under organic farming, which is 35.7 million hectares. And Argentina is the next, having 3.7 million hectares, and Spain is having 2.4 million hectares. And now organic share of total agricultural land, it is just 1.5%. Very small fraction of world land is going under organic agriculture. So Liechtenstein, whatever it is, this is the very small country, very tiny country, and it has 41% agricultural area under organic farming. Next is Austria, 26%, very small country. And now wild collection, just leave is producers. In producers, there are 3.1 million producers, out of which about 1.3 million are in India, or 1.31 million producers are in India, largest number of producers in India. And so far organic market is concerned, it is 106 billion euros market in the world, and US is the largest market, which is having 44.7 billion euros. And next is Germany, 12 billion euros, and France. Per capita consumption is highest in Denmark. Denmark consume highest quantity of organic food, and then Switzerland, Luxembourg. Number of countries with organic regulations. So 108 countries have organic standards or organic regulations. And the same data is repeated again. You can see this data. Australia have 35.7 million hectare area, followed by Argentina, Spain, USA, India, and so on. And see this area country-wise. So you can go through it. Largest number of producer. Largest market is in US, Germany, France, China, so on. And highest per capita consumption. People of Denmark love to eat organic product. They spend more than Switzerland, Luxembourg. So mostly, you see, these European countries are very intelligent. They like to eat organic food. And then top 10 countries with the largest wild collection and beekeeping areas, Finland tops the list. So now come to India. In India, you can see this data is from, see the last 4-5 columns, green columns. So total production in India is about 2.75 million tons of organic product. And it include all kind of product, including your pulses, oil seeds, sugar cane, your tea, coffee, rubber, even rubber, cotton, all sorts of product, vegetables, fruits, dry fruits, or whatnot. So almost everything which is in agriculture, spices, they're all kind of commodities, agricultural commodities are organic now. But India earns maximum money by exporting soybean. Soybean is contributing handsomely in India to the export. And see the total area under certification, it is almost 3.5, 3.4 or 3.67. The latest figure says that in India, total area under certification, organic certification is 3.67 million hectares. And out of which there are two parts of this area. One is total area under certified organic cultivation. Cultivated area is 2.3 million hectare, and wild harvest is 1.37. Here, wild harvest means your herbs, jadi booty, or whatever you get from the forest or natural kind of products. So that is wild harvest. So 2.3, 1.37. If you make the total, it is 3.67. And in India, Madhya Pradesh has the largest area, followed by Rajasthan, Karnataka, Kerala, Uttarakhand, now northeastern states, Assam. So these are the major areas which have organic cultivation in India. In Punjab, Haryana, and this Green Revolution area, it does not have much area, organic farming. So see why we need organic farming, why there is need for organic farming. Now question is, why do we need organic farming? So what are the issues or what are the problems of conventional agriculture? We need to see that. And because of those problems of conventional agriculture, farmers like to have some alternative. What can be done in case of declining income, in case of declining factor productivity, and so on. So definitely now decline in factor productivity. I told you in the very beginning what are the factors and so on. So every factor's productivity is declining most of the cases. Suppose 30 years back, 1 kg nitrogen could produce 35 kilograms of rice you could get. But now from 1 kg nitrogen, you are getting 20 kg rice. So nitrogen is same, it is just 1 kg, but the productivity of this nitrogen has declined. Similarly, to get the same productivity, instead of one bag fertilizer, you need to add two bags of fertilizer. It can be said that way also. So productivity of the factors is declining, number one. Number two is unsafe food. Now you know about it, how much unsafe food is. Food starts from the field and it reaches the consumer. And you can, if you analyze it, there are different levels in the channel where some poisonous materials, toxic materials are added to your food. So finally, your food may be laden with pesticides and which will cause you several diseases. So this is the result of the conventional farming. Reduced biodiversity in agroecosystem. In 60s or 70s in Punjab, there were about 18 to 20 crops. Farmers were growing 18 to 20 crops, but now they are growing hardly 5 or 6 crops. Number of crops has declined. In this area, in any area you go, every year farmers are growing same kind of crop. So that is leading to reduce biodiversity in your agroecosystem. If the biodiversity, above ground biodiversity is reduced, it is going to result in reduced biodiversity of the soil. So this is also important that the conventional farming has reduced the biodiversity. Particularly use of chemical can reduce the soil biodiversity. And above ground biodiversity is also reduced because farmers are not following crop rotations mostly. Decreased quality of soil, water and air. You know, soil has been polluted, water is polluted and air is polluted. So it is partly conventional farming, conventional agriculture is partly responsible for pollution of soil, water and air. Then environmental pollution, global warming and climate change. Definitely not wholly, but again I would say that agriculture is partly responsible for environmental pollution, global warming and climate change. So what could be the alternative? There may be one option of organic farming that can overcome some of the issues related to pesticide use particularly and related to reduced biodiversity or reduced quality of water, air and soil, because organic farming is expected to overcome these problems of conventional farming. Now you see, it is just summary of the things. I summarized here the general consequences of conventional farming. So decline in factor productivity. So major cause why the factor productivity is declining, reduced soil health because there is no sufficient biodiversity in soil. There is not sufficient organic matter in the soil. So reduced fertility is the main cause for decline in factor productivity. There may be some other causes also like imbalanced fertilization and so on. Then what it will result in? It will result in declining return to the farmers. Next is unsafe food, means pesticides are coming to our food. So why it is happening? Why it is happening? Because farmers may use the banned pesticides, nitrates and heavy metal contamination of the food. And what will be the consequence? Declined biological health of soil and reduced health of animals and humans. Some diseases can come. Reduced nutritional quality. This point is important. Now our food is getting reduced in nutritional quality. The food which we were having 30 years before, 40 years before, that was rich in vitamins. Now the amount of vitamins has declined. Amount of iron has declined in our food. Why it has happened? Because of climate change and reduced soil fertility or imbalanced nutrition. Then it will result in reduced immunity for human beings. If you do not get sufficient vitamins, minerals, your immunity will reduce. If you eat conventional food, which is not rich in nutrients, you will lose immunity and increase incidence of disease. If you lose your immunity, you will suffer from diseases. So friends, this is just a summary of general consequences of conventional farming, their major cause and important consequences. Now we are discussing why we need organic farming. So first point was the decline in factor productivity. Next issue is related to food quality. We are not getting good quality food from the conventional farming. Most of the time it is laden with pesticides. So Robert, now food quality, I would discuss about some historical aspects in brief. So I named this Robert McCarrison yesterday also. So he established nutrition research lab in Kunnur, which is now National Institute of Nutrition in Hyderabad. So he studied the relationship among soil fertility, food quality, and human nutrition. He said that there is decrease in food quality caused by increased use of mineral nitrogen fertilizer. So he was the first from India to say that nutritional quality of the food decreases due to use of chemical fertilizers. Albert Howard also said that health of soil, plant, animals, and humans are interrelated. If your soils are not healthy, if pesticides are there in the soil which have killed your organism, then how come it can produce the healthy foods? And this is very interesting fact, students, that protein levels are rapidly declining in all foods in India. You will not believe it, but it is a fact that protein content in food items, certain food items has declined during last 27 or 28 years. See this data. This National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, they published some India food composition table, some official data. First time they published in 1937, 51, 71, 89. And the latest one, composition tables were published in 2017. So during 1989 to 2017, during these 27, 28 years, what happened to our food? Carbohydrate in bajra has declined by 8.5%, whole wheat 9%, protein content in lentil has decreased by 10.4%, 10.4% of the total protein, and then 6.12% in moong whole grain gram. In potato, thiamine, vitamin B12, magnesium, and zinc has declined. Now see in tomatoes, thiamine, iron, and zinc has declined by 66 to 73%. Iron content in apple has declined by 76.6% in green tomato and by 60% in apples. So you can see the nutritional quality, the nutrient content in food items is declining. What does it mean? It means that you will eat the fixed quantity of food. Suppose I am eating 100 gram food in a day. So I will eat 100 gram food, but if this food becomes deficient in zinc or deficient in other minerals or vitamins, then I may not get sufficient quantity of these nutrients. If I want to have these quantity of nutrients, then I must increase my intake to 150 gram. Means instead of 2 chapati, now I should eat 3 chapati to get the same carbohydrate. That is the meaning. So this is quite serious issue. So you can see the change in nutrient composition in Indian foods from 1989 to. So see the most of the food items like carbohydrate, proteins, they have declined. Most of them has declined in different food item like wheat, tomato, potato, apple. So you can see in details individual cases. You can see rice, wheat, and see the vitamin content has declined, iron content, and then zinc content in minus. Minus means decline. For example, this in tomato, the iron content had declined by 65.62% during 89 to 2017. Now, question come: why this decline in nutrients concentration or quality of the food? What are the reason? Number one reason is that your soil is not healthy. So, if soil is not having your micronutrients, particularly deficiency of micronutrients in soil, 43% soils are deficient in zinc, 18.3% in boron, and 12% iron, 5.6% in manganese. Means our Indian soils are getting deficient in micronutrients. If micronutrients are not there in the soil, then plant will definitely have deficiency. And then human beings will also have deficiency. So it is a chain, it is a cycle. So what happens if a micronutrient is deficient in soil, then it is definitely going to be deficient in plant. And in plant, every micronutrient has its role. Some are used in the synthesis of hormones, synthesis of proteins, vitamins, enzymes. So if we lack those kind of nutrients or elements, then further cycles which are happening, biochemical processes happening in the plant will be hampered, and that will affect the synthesis of food items like vitamins. So one is the your declining soil health, one reason. Other reason is climate change. So climate change, now CO2 levels are rising, and then the CO2 level is encouraging more photosynthesis. More photosynthesis means more carbon assimilation. So if you get more carbon in the food, then the relatively the concentration of others will decline. So it will have some dilution effect. So these kind of studies have been made under controlled condition. If you increase the CO2 levels in the growth chamber, then it declines the content of zinc, content of iron, and many micronutrients in the plants. So these are the two reasons for decline in food quality. Now you can see that 7 in 10 Indians have poor muscle health, low protein levels. Our muscles are not healthy. Our young people are not healthy. 7 out of 10 have poor muscles. So it may be because of your less protein intake or less fat intake, whatever may be, but it may be due to undernutrition of the people. Now you see, if you want to reduce the cancer disease, go for the organic diet. So there are many studies which suggest that if you eat organic food, you will have less chance of cancer. And there are many cases where people have got some claim against the pesticides like Roundup. Now, this data simply you can study yourself. This data tells you that lot of pesticides are coming to our food. You can study the how much concentration of pesticide is reaching. Many times there is certain maximum permissible limit for residues, maximum permissible limit. But many times pesticides are more than that limit. They cross the limit many times. Sometimes 800 times more pesticide than what are permitted in the food. So this data you can see, study yourself. And see this case, this man is going to sell the vegetables. And what he is doing, he is sitting in the Jamna River, in the plains of Jamna River, bed of Jamna River. He has grown these vegetables in the Jamna, which was having lot of pesticides and heavy metal and everything. Now he is washing them in the same water, and then he will take to the market. So he is again increasing the load of pesticides and heavy metals on the food items. So be very, very cautious about the vegetables which are coming from the river beds, because many times rivers are polluted. So we need to be careful about it. Now see mother's milk, even the mother who is eating such kind of food which has lot of pesticides will give milk to her baby, which is having a very high load of pesticides. So even milk is not safe, whether it is cow milk or human milk. They can have pesticides. Many research studies have suggested. Even your meat item, eggs, what not, any food item can have very large quantities of pesticides in it. We never test. We do not have that much of regulation effective. Now, case of basmati rice. In basmati rice, there are certain limits of tricyclazole. Tricyclazole is fungicide which is banned in many countries, and people use in basmati rice. So maximum residue limit of tricyclazole is 0.01 ppm in European Union and 3 ppm in US and 10 ppm in Japan. So if it is higher than this, they will return your basmati rice. They will not accept. Now you see this data. This tells you the position of polluted groundwater in the country. So you can see in India there are 718 districts. Remember, there are 718 districts in the country, out of which 386 districts have nitrate pollution, 335 fluoride, iron, salinity. You try to understand this. Nitrates exceeding permissible limit in more than 50% districts of India. So you can see our drinking water is not good. And then you know the story of the cancer train. It is because of the pesticide use. Bhatinda to Bikaner, the train runs, and in Malwa region of Punjab, cancer incidence is very high, and this train carries patient from Bhatinda to Bikaner and from Bikaner to Bhatinda. And this is mostly in Faridkot, Moga, Muxar, Firozpur. Now, what are the reasons why there are too many cases of cancers in that area? So one is unclean drinking water. You have seen that our drinking water is polluted. Tap water source from canals, even tap water is coming from canals which are polluted by industrial water. groundwater also polluted. So you cannot escape. Where will you go? So and other is indiscriminate or excess use of agrochemicals, pesticides, unsafe handling the toxic chemicals and pesticides. So sometimes they are careless in spraying the pesticide, using the pesticides, and they can be inhaled through the nose or through the your mouth, whatever way. The nitrate pollution of groundwater, of the 15 pesticide used, at least 10 are cancer causing in that area. So because of this, there is very high incidence of cancer. Now considering all these reasons that food is laden with pesticides, it is bringing a lot of pesticide. Now people developed some interest in organic farming. So many well-to-do people are now switching over to organic farming. So Punjab man quits job, set up organic gardens. There are many more examples of young people who are growing their own food. Like teachers are also encouraging students to grow food organically. Even in your kitchen, in your houses, in pots, people are growing organic foods because they know from where my food is coming. So not many people marketing this and that. So it is possible to grow certain items in home also, terrace gardening, that gardening. So some poly houses can be made. And now government is partly supporting organic farming. Government set to develop organic farming corridor along Ganga to arrest pollution. I think you must have heard this news. And now the important thing which we discussed is why the GM crops are not allowed. It is against the nature, anti-nature. You have taken genes from a bacteria or any other source and you have put it into another organism. This is not very how to say. This is not good or this is not morally sound. This is not morally sound to take gene from one organism, put into another, and make some artificial things. Have you asked the bacteria, dear, I want to agrobacterium, dear agrobacterium, I want to take your gene. Will you allow me? If you want even my nail, you need to ask me. How can you take gene from a bacteria without asking me? So it is again anti-nature, and there are no significant evidences to prove that GM foods are safe. There are no proofs. And seed will remain with the multinational companies. Serious disease in human beings are possible by eating the GM food, but Bacillus thuringiensis stay allowed in organic farming. And there are many plants which have been made like this is the story. You can go through this. In this case, the you need to read yourself. Now I have very limited time, so you can see that cancer was caused. First thing is that Roundup, only Roundup is a herbicide which can cause cancer in human beings or animals. So Roundup use has increased in America and many other countries, and even your maize or your plant is not GM. It is simple, normal plant. If you apply Roundup, that can lead to cancer. So this is possible. And if you do not use Roundup, just eat the rats your GM food. Only GM food is given to rat without Roundup treatment. Then also cancer is caused. And what will happen when your food is GM and you also treat it with glyphosate or Roundup? Then it will increase the incidence of cancer. So see these three pictures. Number one picture is GMO. The rat was fed the GMO, genetically modified organism, means food from the maize, which was GM maize. So only GM maize without Roundup caused cancer in this rat. Number two rat, you see, all Roundup means the maize was normal, but that maize was treated with Roundup, glyphosate. So it also caused the cancer in rats. And third one, what will happen when GMO was the maize and then Roundup was used, and this is the severity of the cancer. So what this paper suggests that this GM food itself can cause cancer. This Roundup can also cause cancer. And if you combine both, the severity of cancer is very high. So such kind of studies have come, and see this case, destruction of cotton crop cotton was wiped out in 2015 by whitefly. Whitefly. So sometimes your GM crops are also susceptible to insect pests and disease. And see this case relates to Roundup. So Roundup has caused I want to give you just message that this in America, the soybean, cotton, and maize. These are the three important crop of America, and these all the three crops have 100% area under GM cotton, GM maize, and GM soybean. 100%, and all the crops are covered by glyphosate, and use of glyphosate and GM crops is causing several diseases in American people. There is suddenly increase in number of people who are affected by these kind of diseases. You can see the names of the diseases. It is mainly because of use of soybean and your maize. Soybean and maize, suddenly there is increase in the use of glyphosate, and that has caused several diseases. These are the name of the diseases caused by this glyphosate in America. And this is the data from US Department of Agriculture. This is not data from India. This is data from America itself, which proves that this, you can see the glyphosate use and number of diseases. I will share the complete paper with you. Now, there are certain questions from public, and I will discuss in next class these questions from the public and common people, or I can discuss now. We are left with 10 minutes, so we can discuss the questions from the public. Is organic farming sustainable? Or I have time to explain this to you. Start from here. This is the paper. This paper was published in some Journal of Organic Systems, and this is from International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement, Bonn, Germany, and one is from Crystal Imaging Facility, Phillips University of Oklahoma, USA. But they have used data from US Department of Agriculture. So you can see genetically engineered crops, glyphosate, and the deterioration of health in United States of America. So you can see this picture, adoption of GE. GE means genetically engineered crops in US. So you can see years 1996, 97. So percentage area under GM crops is increasing. And by 2012, you can see it has reached more than 90%. So more than 90% area of genetically engineered corn, that is maize, soybean, is shown here. So it is increasing, the area is increasing. Then herbicide tolerant Bt insect resistant. So you can see that out of a variety of GM crops have been developed. Some have been developed for herbicide tolerance, some for insect pest tolerance, like this. So herbicide tolerant crops outnumber the others. So area under herbicide tolerant crop is more than insect pest and disease tolerant crops. So glyphosate has very close relationship with several diseases in America. You can see this Pearson correlation coefficient are hardly significant between glyphosate application and hypertension, stroke. All diseases are caused by glyphosate. Glyphosate common name is Roundup. So you can see the application rate of glyphosate in soybean. It is increasing linearly. You can see with the passage of time, the application rate pounds per acre. So pounds per acre is increasing. The consumption of glyphosate per acre is increasing because their GM crops area was increasing. And those GM crops were tolerant to this herbicide. We know this glyphosate is non-selective herbicide, but they made it selective by developing herbicide tolerant crops. Now you see the percentage of genetically engineered soybean crops planted and paired with glyphosate, treatment with glyphosate. So you can see almost 100% of the soybean is treated with glyphosate. Similarly, this is for corn, this is maize. Almost 100% maize in US was treated with glyphosate. See this case of corn, cotton. So all these cases, the glyphosate use is increasing because of GM crops. Now you see the GM crops in US were introduced somewhere around 1996 or 97. You see 97. Up to 96, the disease incidence is increasing at a normal rate. The disease incidence, this particular disease is liver and intrahepatic bile duct cancer. This is a kind of cancer. Up to 1997 in America, the cancer rate, this particular cancer rate increase was very normal. But suddenly in 1997 onwards, you can see there is abrupt increase in the number of patients, abrupt increase in the number of patients for this particular disease. So it can be easily, these GM crops and Roundup can be easily blamed for this rise, sudden rise in the number of people affected by this disease. See the next case of kidney and renal, so many pictures were there. So in all the cases after 1997, there is sudden spurt in the increase in the number of people affected by this particular disease. So see this picture, see any picture. So now this ends your lecture, this lecture today. Your questions are welcome. You can ask questions. I will be happy to answer your questions.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what are the significance of organic cotton as it
See,
is
this
non-food
is
crop?
his question is that what is the significance? What should we go for organic cotton? So actually, what happens even in fiber crops, there may be certain quantities of pesticides because in cotton, you know how many in most of the situation, pesticides are used, and even if it is GM cotton, in GM cotton it is resistant to one or two insects but other insects are also there. That means the use of pesticide is always there in the cotton. In India, in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, many areas, farmers go up to 10 to 12 spray of pesticide. If you are having so many sprays of pesticide, some residue will be there in the fiber and you cannot remove it easily. So what happens? Certain people are allergic to the pesticides, allergic to the chemicals. So in Japan, they love to eat organic cotton clothes. So it is mostly skin, some skin issues are there, and people who can, so they like to have organic cotton.